Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Elrod, and I'm a transgender woman. I am a Point Scholar designated by Point Foundation. Point Foundation is the nation's largest national LGBTQ scholarship fund. I was awarded as a Point Scholar in June of 2019. With all of this stuff going around, it seems like that was years ago. So every year, as Point Scholars, we are required to perform a community service project. This year, I have the idea at my university, Ohio University in Athens. Go Bobcats! I had the idea to start a transgender clothing closet for trans people in the community or at the school who needed funds or who needed resources, who needed clothes to get by. And unfortunately, because of COVID-19 and because of this global pandemic, unfortunately that project had to be put on hold. So maybe next year. But for this year, I didn't know what to do. So I really thought about it. And I thought about how everyone's bored. No one knows what to do. We're all getting stir crazy. And I specifically thought about LGBTQ people, specifically LGBTQ kids, who are with their parents or family or guardians who don't accept them for who they are. So I decided that as part of my community service project, I wanted to create a video diary, well, more of a biography, a videography, if you will, of my story. Because not many people know my story. Those who do don't know all parts of it. And I was like you to all of those kids out there who lived with unsupportive parents. I'm still like you, and I'm forced back into living with my mom. So I thought it was apropos. I thought I would do this as a way to serve the community by providing at least some sort of entertainment, even though it's probably not as riveting as Sabrina on Netflix or Bad Omens, or I think it's Bad Omens on Amazon Prime, or Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. But it's my story, it's real, and you're getting it straight from the source. So this is my community service project. I'll be probably posting a video like this probably every week. I have decided that because I wanted to be as open with y'all as possible, I'm not going to try to put on any airs about my appearance, about who I am. You get to see me in my pajamas. You get to see me in my old bedroom with these horribly blue painted walls. And you get to learn a little bit about me. The good, the bad, and all the ugly. So I wanted to start off by talking about how, for all of those out there who are with family who doesn't support them, I wanted to talk about my experiences growing up. So I grew up outside of a town called Portsmouth, Ohio. Portsmouth, Ohio is south central Ohio. If you put your finger on a map of Ohio, put your finger on Columbus, go straight down to the river. That's where Portsmouth is. I'm about 15 minutes west of there. So, and I live right on the river. So, those of you who don't know where Portsmouth is, that's completely common. It's not a very big town. Um, and my little zip code is even smaller. The neighborhood roughly has maybe 20 people living in it, and I can see the hills of Kentucky from my house. This is technically Appalachia, and the culture is most definitely Appalachian. You may notice a little bit of a twang in my voice every now and then. Um, that's just how I was raised. My mama was born in, well, I think she was born in Inez, Kentucky. She lived and grew up in Inez, Kentucky, which is super, super small town. And a lot of that culture was how I was raised. So, just to give you a little bit of background on my parents so you can understand why they raised me the way they did. So, my dad was raised here around Portsmouth. They moved a couple times, his parents did. They were they were pretty devout Christian. I don't think they went to church very often, but my grandmother on my dad's side is still alive, and she still talks about being religious. I know my dad's sister, my aunt, she is still religious. Um, so they grew up pretty fundamentally Christian, but my mom, it was very fundamentally Christian. She grew up dirt poor. She grew up tried and true Appalachian. Um, she grew up in a house with no running water. She had to go to the outhouse to use the bathroom, even in the middle of winter. Her father was a coal miner and a preacher in a one-room church with dirt floors. So when I say they were dirt poor, they were dirt poor. You had to cross the creek and go out the holler to go to my mom's house. And we visited it when I was a kid a lot until it unfortunately burned down. Um, so you can imagine that my mom was raised pretty strictly. My grandfather was a Baptist preacher in the hollers of Kentucky. So you could possibly imagine how fundamentalist his views were. Just to give you an example, they weren't allowed to have playing cards in the house because it was considered gambling. And when my mom married my dad, it was her second marriage. She had gotten a divorce. So he wouldn't come to her wedding because in his eyes, her marriage with my father was a sin. So that's just to give you a little background on why I was raised the way I was raised and why my parents reacted when I finally came out. So I was always a little different growing up. A lot of the neighborhood kids, they didn't really want to play with me. They thought I was, for those of you who don't realize, I was assigned male at birth, and I grew up as a boy for a long time. So when I talk about my childhood, I'm talking about living as a boy. So they didn't want to play with me a lot of times because I was very effeminate. I was very sensitive. I remember asking Mom for an easy bake oven one year for Christmas and for a Barbie doll for Christmas. And the other kids didn't really get it. My parents didn't really get it either, but Mom still got me those toys. So she wanted to give us the childhood that she didn't have. My relationship with my mother is very complicated, and I'm with her right now. She's outside doing some yard work while I was doing some homework, but I figured this was probably the best time to tell my story because she isn't in the house, and I don't want her to hear me talking about her. But even though our relationship is strained, we love each other very much. Even though it's a toxic relationship. Um, so she got me those toys because she wanted to give me a childhood she didn't have. She told me one year for Christmas all she got was an orange. Another year all she got was a pack of gum. Her favorite year, she got a baby doll. So that's the kind of life she lived. So she wanted to give us all the things she didn't have. Um, so they raised me and my brother Baptist, like her father. My dad started going to church with her and with us because that's what she wanted. She wanted to raise her children in church. So that's what she did. My brother's 3 years older than me. And then I have a half sister who's 18 years older than me. When I was growing up, she was living in Columbus, Ohio, 2 hours away. I didn't see much of her. And later, she married her husband and moved off to Colorado. So she hasn't really been in the picture very much. So all of these growing up experiences, they're mostly me and my older brother, Jonathan. So I was raised very strictly. Um, mom, mom has some pretty debilitating neuroses. She has depression and anxiety. She has really, really bad anxiety. And because she was raised with parents who were emotionally manipulative and emotionally abusive, a lot of those parenting styles came back on us as kids. Um, I can remember little things here and there, like just little things. Like I would disappoint her, and she would say things like, "Why would you hurt mommy like that? Why would you do that to mommy? Where's mommy's little boy that's so loving and caring?" So there's a big there's a big history of guilt and shame that have been internalized within me through the years that I'm still working on. But we'll see. Hopefully, this can help me as much as it may help one of you. Um, so, I came out to my parents when I was 14. I had known something was different growing up all my life. I had known I was different, like how I talked about the kids playing with me, and I talked about the toys that I wanted. It was funny when I was about in the third grade. I can just remember going to school and looking at the other kids and thinking, I'm not like them. Maybe I have superpowers. That's what I thought. I mean, I still think being queer is kind of a superpower, so I was kind of right. Um, so when I realized that I was attracted to men, um, that was a game changer. Because I was raised in a Baptist church, and according to the church, homosexuality was a sin. You know, men couldn't be with men, women couldn't be with women. And I had no idea that trans people were even out there. I I couldn't really put words to how I felt. I mean, I didn't even know body parts until I was probably 12 or 13. So you can imagine how sheltered I was. So I came out to my parents when I was 14. And I told them that I was gay. This is when I was still living as a boy. And I thought I was a gay man. So I came out to them as gay. Well, I came out to my mom as gay. She was driving me and my brother to his car. I forget what exactly was happening, but we were riding in the car and we were having an argument about Ellen DeGeneres. Because, this was like 2010. And she was like the only lesbian that people knew of from my neck of the woods. So we were talking about Ellen DeGeneres. And my mom said something along the lines of, I think she's a great person. I just don't agree with the choices that she's made. I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, I don't think she should choose to be a lesbian. I don't think that's the kind of life that people should live. I said, Mom, she didn't choose to be a lesbian. She was born that way. This is right around the time that Lady Gaga released her single Born This Way. So that was all in the news. I argued with her, and I kept arguing with her about whether or not being gay was a choice. And she pulled off into a parking lot, and she told me to get out of the car. And she started to come towards me, wagging her finger, telling me that I shouldn't disagree with her like that, and I can't tell her that she believes wrong. And I just said it. I said, Mom, I'm gay. And she broke down crying. And that evening, she told my father. And he didn't speak to us for a week. Well, he didn't speak to me for a week. Yeah. That was my coming out experience as gay. It was a little rough. But I made it out. I'm reaching 20 minutes. I'm not super close, but I don't want to talk all your ears off. So I think at this point, this is a pretty good stopping point. Thank you for listening to me talk about this experience and my growing up. I have a lot more stories to tell, and I want y'all to know that I'm still here. I won a national scholarship. I go to an amazing school, and I have 2 really wonderful partners. I'm polyamorous. So things got better for me. It took a long time. It doesn't get better as quickly as a lot of people talk about, especially for people who are trans. And especially for people in Appalachia. Things don't always get better. And sometimes it takes a lot of hard work to make things get better. But you have to find the people who will be there for you. And it may take a long time to find. but they're there. You aren't alone. I mean, I'm here. And if you want to reach out to me, I'll be more than happy to respond to you. Just know that in this trying time of being stuck indoors with people who may not be there for you all the time, I'm here for you. And there are plenty of other people who are too. Just know that you are worthy, you are valid, and you are loved. You are wanted. I want you here. Thank you for listening to the first part of my story. I will see y'all sometime next week. Sending you all the love and light that I can, because I need it too. But thank you again. Hope to talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Bye.